Hi there everyone, how are we doing? We're back on the 67 Hail Hail channel. Big hello to everyone watching this, subscribers, non-subscribers. If you've not yet managed to subscribe, please give it a go. That's all I'm going to say for this video because I gave it the full spiel yesterday. Right, on to today's video. Big game Thursday night. Well, I say big game, is it really? That was just a kind of slip of the tongue there, really, just a generic thing to say. Is it a big game? I don't know. Let me know. That's your first duty. Let me know in the comments. Is it a big game? Do you care? Anyway, we're away to Lille in the Europa League. Match day 2. I suppose it's a big game in terms of our route for qualification to the last 32 of the competition. We probably need to be taking something from the game if we're going to be looking to do that. Not massively hopeful given how we're playing as of late, and also the fact that Lille are probably the kind of surprise package, or even maybe just the best team in France so far this season. So I think we've got our work cut out. However, we did do well against Rennes last year, a team who ended up finishing ahead of Lille. Now, there's some interesting dynamics to the game in France. Don't quite know yet if there's going to be fans there or not, but one of the key things that people have been talking about since the draw was made is the return of Timothy Weah to a Celtic match. I'm going to take a wee look into that on today's video. So depending on who you ask, you're probably likely to get a different answer into Timothy Weah's time at Celtic. Some people would say that he was a brilliant player who showed quality whenever he played and was never really given an opportunity once Neil Lennon took over from Brendan Rodgers. Others would say that he flattered to deceive and he's maybe getting around on his dad's reputation. I don't know, maybe that's really controversial. Maybe nobody's saying that at all, but I've just said it, so there you go. Anyway, I thought Weah was quite good for us. I always quite liked him. The stats say that he actually only started 4 games for Celtic in his 5 or so months at the club. It seemed more than that. In those 4 starts, he did score 4 goals, although a fair few of them came as a sub. He came on as a sub 13 times. I remember him doing that to great effect in a win we had at St Johnstone. I was actually doing a bit of research for this video, looking at the highlights. He set up a goal for James Forrest in that game as we were toiling in the second half, and then scored a really good breakaway second goal. Just watching that game and seeing the Celtic support celebrate when Weah slammed in that second late on in the game just made me long for the return of fans, and Celtic fans in particular, to games. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. He was decent, I thought. If you're giving him a mark out of 10, I don't know, maybe a 6, something like that. He kind of offered quite a lot. He started really well. I think 3 of his 4 goals came in the first 4 or 5 matches, and then he tailed off a bit. Probably something to do with Brendan Rodgers coming or leaving the club and Neil Lennon coming in, a manager who maybe didn't fancy him as much. It all kind of came to a head with Timothy Weah, and it was a bit of a kind of unceremonious parting of the ways between him and Celtic when the 2018 FIFA Under-20 World Cup came around. Timothy Weah was selected for the USA Under-20 squad. He was going to miss, I think, our last game of the season, which happened to be the Treble Cup final against Hearts. He was always going to miss that. However, I think when he decided to go with the USA team rather than staying with Celtic for that match, that was kind of the final straw for Neil Lennon. And Neil Lennon, I think, effectively ended his loan at that stage. That's what Timothy Weah said on Instagram anyway. A really wordy message. He always struck me as someone who kind of like to say things and then maybe not act in the same way. I mean, if you love Celtic so much and you want to devote your life to Celtic, as he said, why are you going off to play with a youth team rather than helping us to win a 3rd treble in a row? Anyway, again, I'm digressing. That's how it ended for Timothy Weah at Celtic. So is there a little bit of animosity between him and Neil Lennon going into Thursday night? The answer is maybe, although I'd say it's probably just a kind of media narrative, although I'm saying that and I'm the one who's done a video here kind of playing up the fact that Weah and Lennon may have a bit of history and ill feeling, so apologies for labelling the media there when it's really just me that's doing it. But I would say there's probably not as much as maybe people like to think. They probably did fall out a little bit. Neil Lennon probably wasn't too happy with Weah wanting to go and play for the under-20s of USA rather than staying and fighting for Celtic. USA, by the way, ended up going out in the quarterfinals of that World Cup, so he could have been part of a historic day at Hampden Park as we came from 1-0 down to beat Hearts, Edouard, all of that, or he could have got to the quarterfinals of youth tournament, which he did. So he made his decision and he's got to live with that. Anyway, he probably isn't too bothered. He certainly wasn't too bothered later that summer when he moved from his club Paris Saint-Germain permanently to our opponents on Thursday night, Lille. Now, Lille paid £9 million for Timothy Weah. Funnily enough, that's the exact same amount that we paid to Paris Saint-Germain for a certain Mr. Odsonne Edouard. You work it out, who got the better deal there, Lille with Weah or ourselves with Edouard? I think we all know the answer there. One of the reasons for that is that he's barely played for Lille over the last couple of years. He played just 3 League and games. Now, it was a curtailed season in France last year, but he still only played 3 matches for Lille. He's played 4 already this season, although they've all come as substitutes. He was also a substitute in their Europa League win over Sparta Prague, 4-1. That finished in the Czech Republic last week. So there is maybe a fair chance that we could see Weah on Thursday night against us, but probably only if the game's finished, which let's just hope we're still in with a shout in the last half an hour and we don't get to see Weah. Anyway, the main reason for him not making it at Lille so far, and certainly not justifying that pretty large price tag, £9 million, is that he's had a couple of really serious injuries. Now, they've both been hamstring related. The first one, a really bad hamstring tear near the start of his time in the north of France, right in the north tip of France, in fact. Saw him miss around 6 months with a hamstring tear. Now, as a guy like me, who has also torn his hamstring, I've got a lot of sympathies. I don't know if any of you guys and girls have, but it is one of the sorest things you'll ever have happen to you. I can only liken it, and I've never had this happen to me, but I can only liken it to being shot in the back of the leg. I was in PE, I forgot to warm up, and I felt it go. It was like being shot in the back of the leg. Horrible. Plays with your mind as well when you're coming back. You've always got it in the back of your mind. You can never properly get up to 100% speed because you've always got it in the back of your mind. That lingering thought, what if it happens again? So I've got a lot of sympathy for Weah. Sadly for the American, it did happen again on his very next match. 6 months later, as he returned to the Lille first team for the first time in half a year. More hamstring hassle. Looks like he's back from it this year. So far, there's been no reoccurrence. Obviously, we hope that stays the same going forward, or he can play as much football as possible over the next months and years and even decades at his age. But he hasn't exactly, enjoyed life so far in Lille. It's been a tough gig for him. But as we know, he's still a very talented player. He showed enough in his time in Scotland to suggest that he's one that we should be looking at on Thursday night if he does in fact play. Those injuries mean that, funnily enough, for an attacker, the last club goal he scored in his career was for ourselves in a 2-0 win away to St Mirren. That was back in April 2019. So that was the last time Timothy Weah found the net at club level, and that just goes to show how much he's fallen over the last 18 months or so due to injuries mainly. But Weah is only 20, he's got plenty of time to turn his career around. Hopefully he does that, but hopefully waits until at least Sunday, or at least until after this Europa League group stage campaign's away. Basically, don't do it against your old team, Timothy. We would really appreciate if you didn't do that. I suppose the fact he's not getting much game time at Lille just highlights how good they are and how many, really prominent attacking options they have at the club if they can afford to keep a player like Weah, even with injuries, on the bench for the vast majority of time. It's going to be a really tough game, as I said at the start. I think it's a result or a game that we really need to be taking a result from if we've got any hopes of getting to the last 32 of the Europa League, which I think is going to be a real tall order now after losing our first game at home. We really need to take at least a point from the Lille game. Otherwise, I think with Milan at home to Sparta Prague, ourselves and the Czechs could be sitting on 0 points with Milan and Lille, probably the two best teams in the group, both on 6. So it'll be a massive uphill task from there. So let's hope the revival starts tomorrow. Just a reminder, as I said on yesterday's video, no live post-match reaction sadly after the game on Thursday. Why? Because I'm not even going to get to see the game, so I would probably struggle to do a video if I'm not getting to see the game, and I'd be even more clueless than usual. Back on Friday though, I'm going to do a video looking back at the game. Hopefully there's something positive to talk about. Enjoy it wherever you're watching it, and let's hope this is the start of a Celtic revival.